All right. I think we're all ready. We're ready to begin, right? Great. Just so everybody's aware, this meeting will be recorded.
This conference will now be recorded.
Great. Thank you. I would like to call the June 3rd Zoning Board of Appeals meeting to order. And before we proceed, I'd like to say the pledge. So if we could just say the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great thing. So most of the applicants here, or most of the people on the call, are new to this. This is a new way that we're trying to get through these applications. We have 4 items tonight that we'll hear. And during each one, I will open the application. We'll vote to open it. We're going to read some items into the record. At that point, we will then ask you about your project. And during each application, we'll ask if anybody from the public wishes to be heard. At that point, if you're on the call and you wish to voice an opinion, whether for or against the application, please state your name and we'll get some information from you. Everybody will be sworn in. And we actually will do SECRA right after each application. We'll vote right after each application. So at that point, after we vote, you feel free to drop off, or unless you want to stay on for some other application that's on the agenda. So we're going to do a roll call to make sure all the applicants are here. So when I say your application name, please just identify yourself and say that you're here. Sekunjanan. Did I say that correctly? I don't see that they're here.
Looks like Kier is here, Levesque. He's waving at you.
Oh, Kier's on mute. Hold on. Why is Kier on mute? All right, Kier, I got you anyway. We'll see if you can figure out that issue in the next couple of minutes. If not, we'll.
Is that better?
There you go. All right, perfect. Thanks, Kier. All right. And then we have Skay Polebarn.
Donald Brenner, attorney for Skay Pole Building.
Great, thank you. And DeLuca.
Yes, Michael DeLuca, I'm present.
Okay. And Ruddy. I see you, Catherine Ruddy. Or you haven't? There you go. Catherine. All right. Well, Ruddy, you have some time too to figure out that microphone. When you do figure it out, we'll. Oh, there you go.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, great. And it's Catherine.
Ready to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. I make a motion to open Sekunjanan. All in favor, Dan Sullivan. Oh, sorry. Can I get a second?
Second.
Right there. All in favor, Dan, aye. Tricia,
Aye.
Mike. Mike.
Mike Bosco, aye.
Oh, thank you. Tommy
Aye.
and Rob.
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, Debbie. Debbie, are you there?
So I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and several letters of correspondence. The first email is, it was first sent in February 18th, 2020 and resent again May 29th, 2020. Dear zoning board members, After a careful review of my neighbor's extension plan, we think the proposed building extended too deep into the backyard. We can only accept the extension to be flush with their existing covered, very tall deck, which was built recently and already extends deep into the backyard. This covered tall deck is very unpleasant to look at and already renders my entire backyard with no privacy. Those extensions will cause our property to devalue, which is very difficult for us to accept, as our family have lived in this property for the past 20 years. Thank you for your consideration. And I don't know if I'm gonna probably butcher this name. Hay, 201 Liberty Road, Tappan, New York. And then I have an email dated May 7th, 2020 from Donald Wainland, owner of 65 Eagle Lane, Tappan, New York. I have no objections to my neighbor, Sean Kasugian, who resides at 191 Liberty Road, Tappan, New York, in reference to the variance he is seeking. And he says if there's any questions, you can email him. And then I have a previous letter from him and his wife dated March 11th, 2020. And she says this is her second letter to the board for the new meeting on March 18th for this proposal. We feel this extension will bring our two houses close together and therefore give us less privacy. Our solution is this proposal is for Mr. Kasugian to plant a row of green giant arborvitae on something similar at the rear of his property along the fence to block our vision. The new room extension will welcome more visitors and his property as well as increasing the level of noise emitting from there. And then I have an email that was forwarded also from Harriet Wainland. We are the back property of 191 Liberty Road, Tappan, New York. After reviewing the submitted plans for an addition to this property, we have some concerns. The proposed extension proposed will bring their house approximately 16 feet closer to our property. This closeness infringes on our privacy. If this addition should be built, we would like the owner to plant large and tall bushes along the entire back of his property as to block our view. This is also Donald and Harriet Wainland. And then I have an email that was forwarded from Mr. Levesque for Mr. Sensugian. And it says, please see a conversation that Mr. Sensugian had with his neighbor about this project. Please let me know when you're scheduling the hearing. For the record, please see below the conversation between Mr. Wei He, the owner of 201 Liberty Road, and myself. On Saturday, May 16th at 4:30, I finally saw my neighbor, Mr. Wei, in front of his house and approached him, wanted to see if I could accommodate his request or concerns, if any, regarding my family room addition. I told him I would plant trees for all year privacy, and he told me that he sees enough of my deck, yet allow of seeing my addition. He claims that he would be able to see my extension from his kitchen window, and I told him that is not possible. I stated that even if he had a window in his dining room, he would only be able to see my garage, not my extension. My extension is on the other side of the property. Then I asked him if he had any other reason, and he stated that his lot is not even 1/3 of an acre, which is much smaller than mine, and the houses should all stay the same as they were built 40 years ago. That's where I asked him, so because of your lot size, I should not be able to build an addition, which he confirmed that was the reason. None of this makes any sense. Most homes in the neighborhood have additions. So the reason for even going in front of the zoning board is because I'm going a few feet towards my neighbor to the right of me, which is Mrs. Klein, in lieu of his objection. And that's it for correspondence.
Great, thanks, Debbie.
You're welcome.
So here, look back. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Great, thank you, Mike.
DBA 20-15 application, CI German. Sorry, I've really ruined that. For variances from zoning code, chapter 43, town of Orangetown code, chapter 43, R15, district, group M, section 3.12, columns 4, floor area ratio, 0.20 permitted, 0.23 proposed, 9, side yard, 20 feet required, 17 feet 3 inches proposed, and 10 total side yard, 50 feet required, 47.2 proposed for an addition to an existing single family residence Premises are located at 191 Liberty Road, Tappan, New York, and is identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 77.05, block 3, lot 58 in the R15 zoning district. Can you give us a little bit of a reason? You guys, you were here once before, and then it was pushed back, I think. I can't remember exactly what was the reasoning. Can you give us some background on this?
Sure. When we were there last, some additional information was asked to be put on the drawings, starting with the screened-in covered porch. That is now on the architectural plans, and its position relative to the house and the proposed addition. You also asked for some distances to the adjacent property owners. So there's an exhibit that Mr. Greenwell put together that's got the red dimensions on it that shows distances from adjacent and abutting neighbors to the existing house as well as to the addition on the Klein side. In addition to all of that, Mr. Sakujian had the property staked out where the addition would go. And some of the pictures that were submitted show the orange stakes. And that was done so that he could invite the neighbors over to see exactly where the addition was and what impact, if any, it had on their properties. Additionally, we were asked at the meeting by Wayland to plant trees. And subsequent to that request, Mr. Whalen has now said that he had no issues with the addition. And the question at the time was, if we have a 6-foot fence and we plant trees, you're still looking at the fence and not sure that planting the trees was going to accomplish anything. So in the pictures that are up now, you can see the stakeout for the addition. And if you scroll up and you look through the screened-in porch, you'll see the wee house on the right-hand side, and you'll see that there's no windows essentially on the lower level of the wee house that would be looking towards this. The only way you'd be able to see this addition is from that upper bedroom story window, which actually is facing his garage. That's correct, that window there.
Here, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. We were able to call in. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, who is this?
This is Salmira and Sammy Sekunjani.
Okay, hold on one second. We'll ask, so
Yeah,
are
I
you the
apologize.
applicant?
Yes, we are.
Okay, hold on. We need your name and address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead. Say again, please.
Salmira Sekunjani, 191 Liberty Road, Tappan, New York, 10983.
All right,
and
Debbie,
my
do you have that?
And
That's
Sammy.
the applicant.
Okay.
Right next to
You-
me. sir.
Hi, guys.
Okay, do you two swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Kier, continue, or, yeah.
So in addition to the exhibits that we were asked to provide, the screened-in porch drawing and the Jay Greenwell drawing, Mr. Sakujian went ahead and had that, like I said, had the addition staked out and invited his neighbors over to see it. I'm aware that only Mr. Wee is the one who did not want to come and see it.
Okay.
I don't think the other neighbors had any objections.
I think last
Yes, that
time,
is
though,
correct.
I think we also discussed that 4 feet overhang, right? And whether you could pull it back or not. And I think.
Yeah, yes, we did. We've looked into whether we can adjust it back, and we've come up with a plan right now that does not allow for it to be brought back because the kitchen would need to be entirely renovated. So the way we set this up was to be able to go through the kitchen, and you can see that on the plan, to the side of the kitchen. And then we needed to get that extra 4 feet. So we've looked at trying to move it back, but we can't.
I thought the only reason you didn't move it back was because of the window.
Well, that and the kitchen. The entry would need to move back with it.
The what?
The entry,
Kitchen needs to be relocated.
It could be off-centered. It wouldn't have to be centered. It just wouldn't be centered. If the whole addition moved to the left 4 feet, that was discussed, and one of the reasons why we had it come back. If I remember correctly, and I think Tom was talking.
No, if this wall comes over 4 feet, it's gonna be right in the middle of the window.
Actually, it'll be over more than the middle.
More than half.
Yes.
No, I know that. But also doesn't need a variance then. A couple of them.
Yeah, I don't.
It was just something that was asked.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the site plan for a second, Dan?
I have it somewhere. Hold on. Bear with me. There it is.
You are correct. We would not need a variance. I was looking to see the angled property and what the setback was off the angled property, but that's not affected.
Yeah, we knew that the last time. That's the whole reason why we said it.
But now,
And because the
this is
window was there, isn't, that's up, that's there already. But if you want to put an addition on, it was something we talked about. And if you wanted to move it, then you can move it, or you could take the window out.
I'll let Mr. Sakujian answer that.
He stepped away for a second. He went to get something. I honestly, I don't know how this would be affecting our neighbors. They can't even see it. It doesn't make it, the whole kitchen would need to be, we would have to push it back. We have a patio right there. We would enclose it. Then that patio area would be really small. It wouldn't make any sense looking at it from the outside. Hi, what do you think of that idea?
Hi, guys. I just got up and measured out the kitchen window. The window by itself is 75 inches wide. And if I take off 48 inches, I'm going to have, what, 2-foot window?
Or you'll still have a window.
$27-inch window.
I don't know. It ruins then the whole structure of the whole kitchen the way it is. You have to add more cabinets and stuff. And
The
I
whole
don't know.
thing needs to be changed. Even the kitchen, the sink, and everything needs to be changed.
We would probably also interrupt that upper bedroom window, which is an egress window.
Correct.
But then the whole patio would not look nice.
And so the neighbor on this side is okay with you? It's just
Oh, yeah,
the neighbor
absolutely.
where the screen and porch is?
Yes,
No,
that's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mine would be the neighbor, right?
Klein is our neighbor where our addition would be near, and she has no problem with it. And Mr. Wee is the one on the left who he can't even see because of our houses are not even, our house is pushed more in. He just can't see it. There's no way he can see it. I would love to show you guys. There's absolutely no way that he can see it. He told us, when my husband approached him, he told us that he feels that these homes were built the way they are and there's no need for any addition. They should all be the same. If they start changing, they're going to start losing property value, which we're improving. I don't understand. His objection has no relevancy to, we're not invading his privacy. It's a family room. We're going to be inside. We're not going to be outside. There's going to be walls. So really honestly, his objection doesn't make any sense for us not to go through with it. I respect it if it was something else, but I mean, if Mrs. Klein, the one right on the right side of me, said something, then she would be looking at it. It would be near her. But being we have that enclosed porch, there's no way he can see it. There's absolutely no way he can see it. No, I'm saying that's the only way we can have what we want to have is the way we originally planned it. If we start moving that way, it can't happen. But he can't see it. So his objection really it's not a valid one. We didn't give you a right. If we go
straight down, how far we can go without the ZBA?
That's really what Mike was explaining. If you,
But if we go more down, then he would be able to see us. You know what I mean?
In my opinion, right, I wasn't really thinking of that side or anyone's thought process. You're asking us to change a law of giving you a variance or something where you have the room to go back and further back in your property but in, right? So that's what I'm evaluating. I'm really not looking at, we take everything into consideration, right? Your neighbor did say that it is an issue for them, and I probably would tend to agree looking at it, and I was there. It would be hard for them to see. But just because you move it in closer, he still wouldn't be able to see it. It's the same point.
Right.
yeah, I mean, as one member of the board, I don't see another way they can get, a room that they are looking to get any other way. I mean, to ask them to cut out lighting, egress, other stuff from there.
Well, I don't know if it's egress or not. I mean, that's the first we heard that, right? So, and when we looked at
No, well,
that wasn't brought up.
I mean, you can almost
Might be close.
estimate. Yeah, it's close, right? However, I mean, cutting out a window for light in the kitchen, I mean, that's just not desirable, right? I mean, it's,
Right.
I agree.
I mean, so the only reason why, not because of structure-wise, it's the only reason why we wouldn't be able to do this because of our neighbor, like our neighbor thinks we're invading his privacy, or he doesn't want to look at our.
there's a number of criteria that this board looks at. Yes, that's one of them.
No, I'm saying, what is his main? What I'm seeing, if everything's done the right way, my only objection is him. He's the only one who's standing in my way. Is what he's saying.
Oh, you're asking us to change
No.
the variance.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, what Mike is explaining to you is that the purpose of this board is to reduce all variances as little or as low as possible. So if you can get to it by other means, which is one of the criteria that we look at, or if it's self-created, which is another criteria that we look at, we weigh those to see if we agree with it. And that's really the purpose of this board, is to minimize the variances. And that's what Mike's point was.
Okay.
Your neighbor's comments, they do, I don't want to say that is definitely not the deciding factor of why we're questioning or trying to find another way around this. We're looking at it, that's why we're working with you on this.
Okay.
Okay. How far I can go straight down? How far? Can I go 5 feet? And keep the right side of the house that is facing Klein. How far I can go down, here or Mike?
Like
talking
one
about-
foot.
I'm not sure what you mean down. I'm not sure what you mean by down.
Further down,
Or like
to have
further deep in the property.
the room longer.
It's 1 foot off the side of your house. This line here is the building envelope.
Okay. So if we go further down, if this thing cannot be the way
Like
it's
a
drawn,
4 feet, right?
if we cannot go that way, if we go further down, that means we don't have to go in front of the zoning board and we can get the permit issued and revise the drawings?
Well, that would, I think you still would need a variance for the floor area ratio, because it wouldn't change, I don't think, all that much. And,
It's the same square footage that we're gonna do anyway.
So we would still need the floor area ratio.
right, because that's about a 3 by.
I'm willing for that option too.
That's 60 feet off the bulk table. Yeah, you'll still be over it.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Ooh. Do that math, Kier. Oh, it's proposed 2-3. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong number.
Looks like
What is it you want me to do?
No, nothing. Sorry, I answered my own question there. I was looking at the wrong number.
So we would still need a variance. If we kept the same square footage, we would still need a FAR variance.
Right.
Are you talking about
Was there-
eliminating the side yard variance and going further into the backyard?
Yes.
Well, hold on.
Yes.
Yeah. Hold on. Was there a reason why you chose 18 feet Is that a selection or was it just a number?
That's actually a building lumber dimension. We're not buying, 20 feet and cutting a foot off and throwing it away at 19 feet. It's a construction module.
So what's the next size down from that, Kier? Is it 16 feet?
Yes.
Like if they still needed a variance for 2 feet, or if they took off 2 feet, what's your position on that?
So what's is it 4 feet?
Right now,
It's 4 feet. Right now.
yeah,
Off
what if
the
it,
side of the house.
yeah, so what if it came off 2 feet and then it would be 19 feet, 3 inches instead of 17 feet, 3 inches?
Right. It goes back the distance they need.
Yeah, because again, hearing
Yeah.
that lumber number.
Yep.
Would that be something you'd be
Yeah, that's
amenable
fine.
to?
I'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay. And how about the applicant?
Kier, what are the finish sizes?
The size of the building now,
No, the finish size is what, I think, Mike, I'm sorry if I don't. What are the finish sizes inside? On, what the board members are proposing?
It would be 17.
16. So currently you have 18 feet inside, 19 feet outside. The proposal on the table is to cut this back 2 feet, which would change this dimension to 17 and this dimension to 16.
That's really small.
We have a big family. We like to get together, fireplace, furniture, even his proposal when it was too small for me, I wanted it bigger.
That's really small. That's way too
But you
small.
just stated you would go back before that you would go back at the line of the house, but go backwards, but go deeper into the property.
Go deeper, but
Oh, yeah, go
actually,
deeper, make it bigger.
the same square footage.
Then it would be the square footage. It would be longer instead of wider. It would be a longer room.
Dan, is that what you were talking about?
I was talking
No,
about
Yeah, but keeping the floor area ratio the same.
Are you trying to align it with the existing
Oh,
house?
close enough.
No, if I go deep more down, no, I'm trying to get the 4 feet that I can't get on my right. I'm gonna try to go down then.
well, that's fine. My
That's
point
what I'm
was,
saying. We looked at that and that is fine. But your
So-
variance would be minimal compared to where it is now.
so what I'm hearing is, and I'm asking the applicant to clarify this. I'd suggested a 16-foot inner dimension if we cut off 2 feet. You propose that you want to keep the square footage, which would bring this back a little bit further. And as one member of the board, I don't have much of an issue with that. I mean, it's not really, let me just look at the building envelope. I mean, you do have a lot of space back here.
Yeah, we have a big problem. Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's a
I
shame
mean,
to have a tunnel room, but
Yeah, it would be a tunnel room, but to get what we want, I guess we would have, be more like a tunnel, but.
more than a tunnel. And I don't have nothing against, I mean, Mrs. Klein, my neighbor on the right, he doesn't have nothing against me going 4 feet.
But
But it's also
He
not
doesn't have
about
nothing against me
it's also
going
not
4
about
feet.
the neighbor today,
Or
right?
that
It
way.
could be- someone could buy the house tomorrow and it'd be in that same position. And they might not like it. So it's
Well-
just something that we have to take into consideration, future as well as now.
Well,
I don't know if you looked at our backyard neighbors. Each neighbor has like three sheds, 3 terraces, 3 decks. We're all okay with it. He's never even outside. I don't even know what he looks like. Okay, that's all right. It's not a problem.
it's not about him.
Okay.
It's the same thing. Either you go further down or you're going to the right. If you go to the right, then Klein has no objection to it. I really don't see any issues at all. If she would said something, but she doesn't, and we just saw her today. But
they're trying to figure out how we can get something
Yeah, to go to long
to
way.
go along. Yeah, to go along.
If you go a long
But if
way,
we go along, then Mr. Wee's going to be able to see us, and we're going to be able to see him.
that's all right.
Is that going to be
You
okay?
want to check if anyone else in the board wants to thoughts on it or no?
Yeah, Danny, I'd like to say something, Tom.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
This piece of property has a very deep backyard, beautiful backyard. The person on the left side of their property is doing the complaining, which I understand, they have a right to complain. If they go back further, they're gonna build something that the person on the left side is gonna see. Whereas right now, it's not even in their view. And the variance they're looking for is minimal. It doesn't present any undesirable changes to the neighborhood. I don't see any other way they can, I mean, if they build a narrower, deeper room, is that doing any service to anybody? I'm just missing the point.
Yeah, those
Just
are,
one point of view, I'm sorry.
those are good points, Tom. Thanks.
They are good points, Tom. Thank you.
He didn't come in clear to me. Can someone repeat? I think it was. Can someone repeat what he said? It was a little.
I think he
Yeah.
said if the neighbor doesn't.
Should I
have-
let him explain?
He was on your side. How about that?
That's what I think. What I think too, and I just wanted to verify. I was kind of happy.
Yeah, he was.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, I don't think I don't know, Mike, do you have any other questions, issues? Do you want to talk about anything?
I just wanted to see if anyone else had thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, Tom raises some good points. You know, it is a long, narrow room is kind of what days have passed, right? They do have yard space. I don't know. I'm kind of in agreement with what Tom's sentiments.
Okay.
Any further questions from the board?
We haven't heard from Mrs. Klein at all. We didn't. Did she have anything to say the last time they were here or no? Did she have any other?
Never responded.
No, she never commented.
Okay. All right, let's keep it the way it is.
Okay. Does anybody else on the board, any other questions? I'll open up to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Hearing no response. There's no further questions from the board. I will make a motion to close. I lost my pen. Hold on. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Tommy? All in favor? Dan Sullivan, aye. Tommy? Tricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Rob?
Aye.
All right. Denise, you want to do secret?
Based upon the testimony heard by this board and the facts as presented in the aforementioned application, submission and in the record, this application is exempt from environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to Secret Regulation 617.5C, 11, 12, 16, and or 17. If you have no questions or comments, a board member can adopt my legal opinion as a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Patricia? All in favor? Aye. Dan Sullivan? Patricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
And Rob?
Aye.
Mike, would you like to make a motion?
Sorry, that's on mute. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variances that were requested initially for application ZBA 20-15. There doesn't seem to be any no effect against the neighbors that are directly affected by the addition required. It would be more of a tunnel addition than it would be today if they were to do it, if we were to push it back. They would lose the lighting in their kitchen, and they may have to lose a egress window. It may have to been rearranged on the upper floor. So
Thank you. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Patricia? All in favor, Mike?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Dan Sullivan, Tricia, Tommy? I'm sorry, Dan Sullivan, aye. Tommy
Aye.
and Rob?
Aye.
Great. All right, thanks, folks. Your variance is approved. You can call Debbie in the morning and she'll tell you the next steps, and that's it. You guys can drop off unless there's another hearing you want to, or another application you want to listen to.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
I want to thank you all, and free coffee at Dean's Coffee Co. where everybody's welcome.
Great.
in
Well,
Pearl
thank you very
River.
much.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
so
Have a
much.
Good evening.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Be safe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Take care now. Okay, and make a motion to open and stay.
Second.
All in favor, Dan Sullivan, Patricia?
Aye.
Mike?
aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Tommy?
Aye.
Great. Debbie, you're up.
I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and several letters of correspondence. The first dated February 26, 2020 from Rockland County Department of Planning. They recommend the following modifications: permitting new development that does not comply with applicable bulk standards can set an undesirable land use precedent and result in the overutilization of individual sites. This evaluation must consider whether local roads will become more congested and the sewer systems, stormwater management systems, and the public water supply will be overburdened. The town must consider the cumulative and regional impacts of permitting such development. The building should be relocated or redesigned so that it more closely complies with the town's bulk standards. 2, an updated review must be completed by the Rockland County Department of Health to ensure compliance with the county mosquito code. 3, the variances shown on the bulk table provided on the site plan do not match the variances stated on the cover sheet and memo from the building department. The application materials state that the side yard is only 33.5 feet to the accessory structure and only 55.8 feet to the pole-barn addition, and that the total side yard is only 89.3 feet, where 200 feet is needed. The bulk table indicates only a total side yard variance is required. It must be clarified as to which variances are actually required and the appropriate documents corrected. 4, we previously reviewed a site plan for this parcel in February 2018 for a shed and a 75-foot antenna. The site plan that corresponds to that application was dated November 11th, 2016, with a revision date of January 2nd, 2018. The application before us now is dated April 24th, 2019, with the revised date of October 8th, 2019. However, additions since 2017, such as the 75-foot antenna and shed, are not depicted on this set of plans. The plan submitted must contain the most up-to-date information, particularly for approved facilities. A revised site plan illustrating all components of the site must be provided. Signed, Douglas J. Schutz, Acting Commissioner of Planning. A letter dated March 16, 2020. This from the Rockland County Health Center of Environmental Health. This application is to be made to the Rockland County Department of Health for review for the stormwater management system for compliance with the county mosquito code. Signed, Elizabeth Mello, PE, Senior Public Health Engineer. A letter dated March 13, 2020 from the Rockland County Sewer District Number 1. Rockland County Sewer District Number 1 does not object to the plan as shown. Signed, Joseph LaFiandra, Engineer 2. A sign off from Dion Recipiam, dated 2/18/20 from the Rockland County Highway Department. And that is it for correspondence.
Great. Thank you, Debbie. Don Brennan, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, I do, and I also like the board to know that the applicant is all here. Peter Skate is present, and the two of us, we will be presenting the application.
All right, Peter Skay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
You do.
Thank you. CBA number 20-26, application of SCAE site plan building expansion for variances from zoning code chapter 43 of the town of Orangetown code, LIO district, columns 9, side yard 100 feet required, 33.5 feet existing to 10 foot by 15 foot accessory structure, 55.8 foot existing to the pole barn addition, and 10 total side yard 200 feet required, 89.3 feet existing. Property is located 337-339 Blaisdell Road, Orangeburg, New York, and are identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 76.08, block 1, lot 4 in the LIO zoning district. Can you guys please describe why you're with us?
Okay, this project was originally approved by the planning board. Just let me get my paperwork. Oh, here we go. Planning board on July 21st of 2019. This is a very unique piece of property. This property is located off Blaisdell Road. However, the accessibility is through New Jersey since the property is divided in half because of wetlands. If you notice very closely from the drawing, there is an existing structure on the bill, on the, you can see right over here, this is where the wetlands are. The wetlands is right in this section. So therefore, there was no way of getting accessibility. However, historically, the accessibility has been through New Jersey, and the client does have the rights to have ingress and egress from the New Jersey road. If you look very closely to the building, you see there is a small structure that was there. It was originally a residential house, which was on a variance, which was limited, that being as long as the owner lived or his family lived in the structure, it could be used as a residential house. However, they moved out and therefore reverted back to the commercial zoning. And furthermore, if we go into the file, you will see that this board granted variances for the house, which are much greater than the variances that we're asking for today. The pole barn will be connected to the house directly. The variances requested are less than what the board had granted. It is a very unique type of property. It primarily will affect absolutely no one, and it will be used as an accessory to the building. In other words, my client will use the building, and he will use that for storage purposes for his use. There was also a little, I guess we called it a little building on the side, which is just being used for additional storage. As for this large antenna that the county talked about, that was an application we spent 2 years getting, costing my client substantial amounts of money. It was approved. However, the client no longer was able to get somebody to use that, and that's why it was taken off the drawing, because it will not be used. I think pretty much that's the case. Is there anything you want to add to that, Peter?
Nope, that's perfect, Don. Just trying to make use of a structure, an existing structure that we can't right now because it's a house that can't be used as a house. That's it.
Okay, and when was the house constructed, the old one? Do you know?
Actually, the house. You want to take it, Peter? Okay.
Yeah, the house was actually constructed in 1906.
Mhm.
It was relocated at some point. The property was originally owned by a swim club that had property in New Jersey and New York. When they sold off the swim club and Longview Court was built in Old Town, New Jersey, they kept their New York piece of property and kept that house there, and the town told them they could keep it as a residence until they died.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what kind of storage is going to go in this pole barn?
Right now, it's actually going to be IT equipment storage is the current plan. So, computer cabinets and such.
Okay. And are there any, it's a forward-thinking question, are there any other construction ideas that's going to go on the site here, even at the other end?
I would love to say yes, but we're bound by, there's 13 acres there and like 10 of them are wetlands. So the reality is no.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah. All right, I have no further questions. Is anybody from the board?
I do not.
Not for me.
No, I have none then.
No, no questions.
Does anybody from the public wish to be heard? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard? Hearing none, if there's no further questions from the board, make a motion to close.
Could I ask one question, please?
Sure.
Denise, do we have to override, number one from Rockland County? Based on the fact that, doesn't make sense.
Oh, it's only a recommendation.
Oh, okay, so we're okay with that, all right?
Yeah, Don, we're only overriding denials. If
Okay.
they recommend something.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay. All right, great. I make a motion to close. Can I get a second?
Second?
Tricia, all in favor? Dan Sullivan, aye. Tricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Denise, secret.
Okay, concerning ZBA 20-26, applicant Skate Pole Barn, since the planning board noticed its intent to declare itself lead agency and distributed that notice of intention to all involved agencies, including the ZBA, who consented or didn't object to the planning board acting as lead agency for this application, pursuant to a coordinated review under State Environmental Quality Review Act Regulation 617.6B3. And since the planning board conducted secret review and on September 12, 2018, as set forth in PB 18-35 and as reaffirmed on July 31st, 2019, as set forth in PB 19-50, rendered an environmental determination that no significant adverse environmental impact would result from the proposed land use action. ZBA is bound by the planning board's negative declaration and cannot require further secret review pursuant to 617.6B3 of the secret regulations. If you have no questions or comments, a board member can adopt my legal opinion as a motion.
Can I so move? Second?
Second.
So is it Rob? All right, all in favor? Dan Sullivan, aye. Tricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Tommy?
Aye.
Great, I make a motion to approve the application for ski site plan, CBA number 20-26. It's a large piece of property and they're just trying to make the best of what they can with what they have on hand. And I don't think that it's a significant variance based on everything else that's going on with that odd shaped property.
Second.
Mike, all in favor? Dan, aye. Mike?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Tommy?
Aye.
Great. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, and I do miss you guys though, but everybody stay healthy.
Great.
too.
You too, Tom. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you.
Good luck.
All right.
Good luck.
All right, I'll make a motion to open DeLuca. Can I
Second.
get a sec? Mike? Tricia, sorry, all in favor, Dan, aye. Mike?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Tommy?
Aye.
Great. Debbie?
I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate, and that's it for correspondence.
Great, thank you. Was it Michael DeLuca?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, Michael DeLuca, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Rob?
Rob, you're muted.
Sorry about that. ZBA number 20-33.
Application of Michael DeLuca for a variance from zoning code, chapter 43 of the Orangetown Code, chapter 43, RG District, Group Q, section 3.12, column 9. Side yard, 10 feet required, 9.6 feet existing, 8 feet proposed. Section 5.21, undersized lot applies for an addition to an existing family house or single-family residence. The premises are located at 86 Hunt Avenue, Pearl River, New York, and is identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 68.16, block 5, lot 8 in the RG zoning district. Okay, Mr. DeLuca, you'd like to just tell us a little bit about your project?
Sure. Thank you for your consideration. So I've lived in this house for about 2 years, just over 2 years. I've got 4 children, and I'm divorced, so they spend a lot of time with their mother, about 30% of the time with me. The house is currently 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. There's 1 shower in the house, and for 4 kids to be here 30% of the time, that's adequate, right? About 2 years ago, I met my girlfriend Lori. She's sitting next to me now. She moved in about 2 months ago, and she has 3 daughters. So now we have 7 kids combined with 2 adults and only 1 shower right now. So the good news is that some of the kids are older. 2 of the kids are, one of the kids is in college now. So it's rare that all the kids are here all the time. But when there's all 7 kids here, we need more space. So the proposal is to add a master bedroom with a master bathroom. That'll give us the additional shower that we need. Underneath that master bedroom is going to be a large room that we plan to eventually later on finish to be another bathroom with a like a living space, maybe for one of the kids when they get older to live in when they're out of college or something. That'll come later, but at least for now, we need the additional space just for these 9 people that are here at least, 8 or 9 days a month. It's a blended family, Brady Bunch plus 1. How's that?
Yeah. Oh,
God bless you.
yeah.
A lot of people say that. Thank you.
All right. So that's not, everyone's not there at all time? Oh.
Correct. My kids are with me about 30% of their time. The rest of the time they're with their mother on the other side of Pearl River, and Lori's kids are with us about 80% or 70% of the time, and 30% of the time with their father. So, it's rare that they're all 9 of us here, but it does happen occasionally. Most times it's just 4 or 5 of us based on which mix of the kids is here or not.
Say 1 shower still tough.
So now that's the 8 foot there to the new deck, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not much you can do there. All right. Any further questions from the board?
No, I have none.
Does anybody from the pub? Okay, sorry. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? All right, if there's any further questions from the board, if there's none, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Patricia, all in favor? Dan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Denise Secra.
Based upon the testimony heard by this board and the facts as presented in the application submission and in the record, this application is exempt from environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to SEQA Regulation 617.5 C 11, 12, 16, and/or 17. If you have no questions or comment, any board member can adopt my legal opinion as a motion.
I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Rob. All right. Rob, all in favor? Dan, aye. Rob?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
Great. All right, Rob, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I make a motion, we approve Mr. DeLuca for the 2-foot variance. It's minimal request. I don't see it any adverse impact on the neighborhood or really any other way to go about it. So I make a motion to.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There you go. Tommy?
It's not
All in
2 feet
favor?
though, right? What, hold on, we make sure it's,
What's that?
what is the exact? It's not 2 feet, is it?
Well,
No, it's 8 feet.
1.6.
8 feet, and it's 10 feet.
It's currently
9
9
point-
point, it's currently
9.6.
9.6, but it's 8 feet that they're asking for.
Right.
10 feet is required. So they already had a variance for the 9.6. presumably.
Just want to make sure we don't say we're giving them another 2 feet.
No, just 8 foot side.
You want to acknowledge the garage, 3.4?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we typically do that, right? All right, Rob, do you want to make a further motion that we acknowledge that the accessory structure of the garage is 3.4 off the property line?
Sure. I make a motion to make the 3.4. I'm sorry, I don't really know how to word, but
Yeah, no, just you further move that it's to include the 3.4 setback of the proposed garage.
yes,
Existing garage.
Existing garage.
the existing
Yes.
garage. Yes.
All right. And Tommy, you still want to second that?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Rob?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Dan? Aye. Great. Thank you, folks. Have a good evening and good luck with everything.
Good luck.
Thank you for picking up on that garage change. Obviously, it was built in 1924, so it's good to know that that's kind of approved for the future. So thank you for that. Thanks for your time. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
that's the point of clarity. So in case the building inspector picks up on it later, not now. So we usually try to identify that. But yeah, thanks.
Thank
I
you.
helped you out.
Thanks again. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, make a motion to open Ruddy.
Second.
Tricia, all in favor? Dan, aye. Tricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
Great. Debbie?
I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate. And that's it for correspondence.
Great. Patricia?
ZBA 20-35, application of Catherine Ruddy for a variance from zoning code, chapter 43 of the town of Orangetown Code, RG District Group Q, section 4.58. Owner who first converts the dwelling to resided in said dwelling for at least 15 years, 13 years verified ownership to legalize an existing local law number 7 apartment. The premises are located at 53 East Washington Avenue, Pearl River, New York, and identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 68.16, block 4, lot 21, in the RG zoning district. Dan, did you swear in?
I did not. No, sorry. Sorry, Catherine Ruddy, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
You
Catherine?
have to turn your mic on.
I do.
Thank you. Thanks, Patricia.
So, Mrs. Reddy, could you tell us what it is that brings you here this evening and how you got
Sure.
here?
Sure. So, 13 years ago, I bought the house, 53 East Washington Avenue. I bought it as a 2-family. It had it had an apartment upstairs and the living space downstairs. I was always under the impression that it was a legal apartment. 2 months ago, I went to put it on the market for sale. And I was told that I need a certificate of occupancy for the upstairs that I didn't have. So I have now been going through the process of the application. I had to get an architecture. I had to get the electricians to come in to certify that it was up to code. And you know, I've been paying taxes on a 2-family home. But the tax paperwork showing that it's a 2-family, the MLS shows that it's a two-family. Let me see what this MLS says. Yeah, the MLS that I have shows that it's a two-family residential property class. The land use is a duplex. So I guess when I sold the house back in 2012, I was sold it as a single family. And so right now, no realtor will market it as a two-family unless I have the certificate of occupancy. So I feel like I've been duped. I've been going through this process for the last 3 to 4 months.
So when you bought the property, the apartment was there though?
Say that again?
When you bought the property 13 years ago, the apartment was already there?
Correct. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, living room, and a kitchen with a stove, a refrigerator, and a sink.
And you've been paying taxes. MLS does not always have the correct information, but you've been paying taxes on that as a two-family.
I've been paying two-family taxes. I just, going through the whole process, and I guess, having it sink in that it's been illegal. It's not a legal structure that I have here. Yeah, I don't really see town paperwork. The only things that I see are the tax. I get the tax statement annually, and the MLS. So if if all the documentation that I'm seeing only shows it as a two-family, I was always under the assumption that it was a two-family, and I believe that prior to purchasing the house, the apartment has always been there, even maybe 7 to 8 years. And the only reason why I need the variance is because I didn't meet the 15-year requirement. I'm like a year and a half short right now at this point in time.
I have no other questions, Dan.
Yeah, okay. And quite frankly, I mean, you were duped when you bought the house.
Right.
But once she sells the house, though, doesn't it revert back?
The deed is actually for a single-family residence. It's just classified as a two-family under the assessor's office. So it's a property class 220. That's why it's being taxed as that. But the assessor's office doesn't follow the certificates of occupancy at the building department, which are all for a single-family residence, which also would have been in her title search if she ordered one when she purchased, which most people in New York State do.
So going back to Mike's question though, doesn't it
Oh,
revert
Mike.
back?
Right, sorry, thank you. It reverts back when she sells the house.
The property class would be a single family. They just show it as having two kitchens, according to the assessor's office. But the C of Os are all for a single family residence. There's no two-family residence on this property.
So
It's also been before the zoning board back in 2002, and it was submitted as a single family residence to the board in 2002-76. When they were going for, an addition to the house.
So
Right,
So
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Tricia, go ahead.
No, it wasn't me. Mike had a question and I think Mrs.
sorry.
Reddy was going to say something.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Ms. Reddy, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll speak after.
Right. So I'm not 100% sure on what the right classifications are. Be able to sell it with the kitchen upstairs, would it be I just want to get that approved. So I've owned the house for 13 years. It's always been used as an apartment. I guess that's just, going back and forth, whether it's a single family and all the documentation of how the town sees it versus the tax records and all that doesn't really serve me any good right now at this point, because I'm trying to sell the house. And if you're telling me it reverts back, then there's really no purpose in this whole process.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, because I really believe it reverts back, doesn't it?
Yeah, well,
I wa-
it's a single family, so it'll be a single family.
If we were to grant the local law 7 right now, if she sells the house, it would revert back to a single family.
Right.
So
The,
you
the
you in
actual
turn may dupe the next person.
Yeah, but can't the next person then just simply apply for
Now,
the,
you can.
can't they just apply for it? I
Well,
was told
they
that
wouldn't,
the
if
person-
they did, and this is where
Right.
this is the gray area of local law number 7, which is something I've been trying to get rid of for the past 15 years. Local law number 7 carries with the house. Is that right, Denise?
Generally, there's a restrictive covenant filed, if you recall, that it
And all
has
they
to
have
be
to-
a family
then they do-
member, and there's also the 15-year ownership issue that we're having here as well.
Right,
But
so
then
if she was to
is-
sell
is
the
it-
house, the next person would have to
Actually,
give it. Yeah.
With illegal apartments, most people remove the kitchen and then, because the
Yeah.
town doesn't do an interior inspection upon
Well,
sale.
hang about, Denise.
Don't
So,
go in.
so what we've heard and what we've understood in the past, and Patricia, you might remember this as well,
Mhm.
is that if we approve a local law number 7, it carries with the property. When they sell the house, they have to go file a piece of paper basically at the county to make it legalized.
That's
Are you
not in
telling me
our,
that-
that's not in our code though.
Hold on, Mike. Yeah, I want to hear Denise's opinion on that because it's something that Dennis Michaels has told us.
Yeah,
When you grant the local law 7 of 1981 permission, they have to go fill out a restrictive covenant, which gets filed with the county and puts everyone on notice that it has this apartment that can be rented to a family member. And once they sell it, the way I've read it is that it doesn't carry.
Right.
Unless it's,
It would make sense, otherwise there's no point in the restrictive covenant.
it's restricted to that family.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It would make no sense.
Well, that's,
The code says that.
I can't, Mike, I can't hear you.
They said if the survivors cease to occupy the house, right, it reverts back to the single family dwelling.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe the actual solution is to remove the kitchen.
To remove the stove. That's all you have to do, Mrs. Ruddy.
The problem with that is that this house is like, the whole layout is, it's just not suited just to remove a stove. It's like, I mean, I was told by someone in the building office that you do, like, when it reverts back, if I were to sell it and it reverts back, the new owner, the person that takes ownership, would file the covenant, and then they would be able to utilize it as a restricted mother-daughter type.
Local law 7. That's what's been
Right.
happening in the building department.
That's exactly as I recall it, except our attorney's saying different. I don't know. I mean, Denise, that's how I understood it.
Hold on.
That's what's been happening in the building department. If the
That's
second
why,
owner
that's
comes
why
in
local law number 7 has to go away.
and they buy a house that was a local law 7, they come in and they file a new covenant to continue the local law 7
The next
that was
thing.
already established by the previous owner.
To
Is
a
this
family
your-
member,
I mean-
yes, after they show the 15 years of ownership and everything else. I think it happened on Griffith, and they have to reside there. It can't be a rental
Right,
property.
the owner has to
completely.
live in it.
All that gentleman that bought that house and thought he could rent it as a
but that's a
two-family, but he wasn't gonna live there.
Right.
That man, yeah.
But the building department has been telling people that if they have a local law 7 and they sell a local law 7, the next owner has to live there, but they could file a covenant and keep the apartment that's there.
That
For a
defeats the
family
purpose.
member, I believe that's how they were looking at it, but not anybody, not, it
Right.
had to be immediate
defeats-
family member, child, mother, father. That's how it was. I
Because she,
could have swore 30 years ago when they passed this, that it had to go back to being single family once that person died or they sold the house.
I'm not arguing that maybe that's what was happening, but I'm telling you what had been happening since then. That people
That's
have
against our code.
continued.
So if
Right.
they are doing that, it's illegal. It's against our code if they are doing that. I'm
But
just,
that's why this lady is here, because
And they have been doing that. That's the problem.
she was told that if she legalizes the apartment, she could be able to sell it as a local law 7 to another person.
But and here's the loophole with trying to revert it back. The entire structure is morphed to allow
Right.
this second apartment, as in this case, it's on a second floor. Or
Right.
they gonna put in like new stairways in to get up to that second floor. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm sure that there's probably a reason why, Denise, I don't know if there's some legal thing that got passed, but I mean, I don't know. If they all reverted back, I would have no problem with local law 7. The problem I have with local law 7 is exactly what Debbie described, and they're just filling out a piece of paper and filing it with the county, and it gets reverted, or basically gets legalized to whoever's next. It rides with the property.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of illegal apartments around that never got local law 7. And like I said,
So and think of it this way: why would
it
Mrs.
was intended for mother-daughters, for people that lived here for 15 years and suddenly mom needed to live with them and mom moves in. And then when mom died or they sold the house, they had to revert it back to the single family status, because having all these illegal 2 families all over the town doesn't help anyone's property value, honestly.
I agree. I mean,
So,
because if you think of it this way, why would Mrs. Ruddy have to be coming to us right now to try to get a local law 7 if it was going to revert back? It just wouldn't make sense. And
she also didn't meet the 15-year requirement, so I don't know why they sent her here in the first place.
Right. I agree. Thank you.
For the variance from not meeting the requirement of 15 years, assuming that she can convert it to a local law 7 now and then list it as a local law 7.
She hasn't lived here for 15 years. You're not supposed to be able to even apply for local law 7, I thought.
They've granted variances for not owning, less than 15 years. You can grant a variance for that section of the code. It's been done before.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
think
also
you was advised. Mrs. Reddy, you have to explain, were you advised that this is what you needed to do in order to sell the house as a local law 7?
Correct. So I bought the house assuming that it was illegal, as long as I live there, I can rent an apartment upstairs. Obviously, I was told that I can't, that's not what I have. I have a single family illegal apartment upstairs. So I'm coming to the board, doing everything that I've been asked to do, get the drawings, get the inspector, do all the things that I need to do. I've been there 13 and a half years at this point, and trying to get the variance so that if I sell the house, someone can come back in and get a restricted covenant so that they can rent the apartment upstairs to a family member. Because the house doesn't make any sense any other way. To convert the house to a single family home would cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it would cost a lot. I know. I mean, I don't see it as a self-created hardship. I'll say that. I mean, and yes, we've granted variances from 15 to 13 years for.
We have.
Local law 7. Yeah.
But I think
upon
what-
sale, or just when somebody comes in and they've discovered this? Well, not further when they're selling.
It's not. She didn't put the apartment in. She bought it like this.
I
It's
know,
not-
but there's, like I said, we don't do interior inspections, so I'm sure you'd be surprised at how many are out.
Well, can I tell you for certain that all the local law 7s are still actually local law 7s and owned by the people who actually passed it and didn't fill out some kind of piece of paper to make it a legal, mother-daughter. I can't tell you that
Building
either.
department's supposed to make sure that they get the restrictive covenant and the form approved by the town attorney's office. So if I get the form, I review it, and I make sure they get it notarized and it gets filed. They have to file it with the county and provide a copy to the building.
But I don't think you answered my question. Did all local law 7s that got sold to people revert back?
I don't
to
know. I
single
only
family?
started on this board 2 years ago, so I have no idea what happened before I got
Right.
here. Since I've been here, there's been a few where one of them ran with the land forever and ever. Otherwise, the rest of them were all supposed to revert according to the code.
So
Like
I
Mr.
think
Mooney.
we're saying the
His
same
name was
thing.
Mooney, right?
So we're saying the same thing. She needs a local law 7 to sell her house. So the next buyer, it's going to revert back to a single family residence. And
Yes.
that's, am I going to say that before she sells the house and whoever the new owner is, they have to come to us and spend thousands of dollars to put in staircases? No.
There's a staircase here. What do you mean you have to put a staircase?
Is there one interior?
That's it, right?
No, I'm asking the applicant.
Say that again?
Can you access the upstairs from inside the house?
It looks like they come
Yeah.
in through a common entryway.
I
No,
don't see plans.
I come in from the back. There's an entrance in the front and an entrance in the back. A tenant would come in through the front. I enter through the back of the house.
Which, by the way, is also not against the covenant. It's only one
It's
entrance.
not, right.
So, I mean,
I don't know.
Well, because it's supposed to be a mother-daughter, so they would be entering the same door and
That's
one goes,
correct.
one goes down. That was really the whole idea.
and I'm not comfortable, and I don't mean this, Ms. Reddy, at all, but we know she's selling the house. Right? And we have our building department telling her to come to
Right.
us,
Go do this so you can sell your house.
watch, you can sell your house, which really isn't, and I apologize, Ms. Reddy, but it's really not the right thing to do.
But hold on, if she kept it for another year and a half, it would be a fine thing to do, though.
Again, she'd have it for someone in her immediate family. That's the whole point of the local law number 7 of 1981 in the code, isn't it?
Yeah.
Denise, hold on. You're totally skipping the point here. The point is that if in a year and a half from now, all she has to do is file a piece of paper and then she rents it out, yes, to a family member who might
Yeah,
be there for
and then
a
it
month
says,
and then they leave.
once the owner or his or her spouse or the survivor of them ceases to occupy the dwelling, it automatically reverts to the one dwelling. So since they sell it, it automatically reverts as well.
You're repeating yourself, but it's not even getting to that point. So after 15 years, she fills out a piece of paper, it becomes a local law 7. She could sell the house as a local law 7, mother, daughter, whatever.
That's not what the code says, though.
That's what's been happening, Dan, but I think what Denise is saying is that the minute she wants to sell it, it reverts back.
That has never
And
happened.
that's why the covenant gets filed, to put everyone on notice.
I don't think it's not, Dan, just because, in my opinion, just because it's not happening, doesn't mean we can't uphold the code.
Look, I think
Well, that's what
everybody
you're
on
saying,
board.
though. I'm confused about what you're saying. We can't, because we know what's happening, and that doesn't make it okay. Two wrongs don't make a right.
So we
in
shouldn't
my
be giving any local law 7s is really what you're saying, because Mike, once we pass a local law 7, we have no control over whether or not they revert it back to a single family residence.
I agree.
We don't know that they're going to sell it.
I agree.
So now we're going against the code altogether, because if she waited, and hear me out, if she waits another year and a half, files for a local law 7, regardless of what she's supposed to do, she can go and sell the house just like everybody else in town, and it could be sold as a 2-family, and that's exactly what everybody else is doing. And I agree
because
with
the
you.
restrictive covenant is required by this board, and it has to be filed with the Rockland County Clerk and puts everyone on notice, especially the next buyer, that it's not a legal 2-family. And when they do their municipal search with the town, they get their single-family certificate of occupancy.
No, they get a certificate of occupancy for a local law 7.
There you go. This one does not have that. It has the single family with the local law 7 restriction that expires.
So, right. So I don't know all the codes, and I was never told when I closed on this house how the codes operate. I was shown my tax papers. I'm living in a 2-family dwelling. When I look at the MLS, it shows it as a 2-family residential, a duplex classification.
It is not saying anything about a certificate of occupancy. When they did a title search, I was told a single, obviously, fast forward 13 years later, it's a single family home, and I'm not asking anyone to go against the code. I am in a situation where I need to, move on. The house is not a single family home. It's a mother-daughter. It's structured that way. It's been structured that way at least for 20 years, even prior to me buying it. And, I just need an approval for a local law 7 so I can move on.
But that's the point. So regardless if you're here for a local law 7 or if you remove the stove, you're going to have, what Denise is saying is you're going to have to remove the stove anyway before you sell it. So if you remove the stove, you don't need the local law 7. I mean, that's really where we're at. If you remove the stove, you don't need this application. You might be able to get a refund because we're not going to make a decision.
Ridiculous, because then so remove the stove for who? For an inspector or
that's
for
what
who?
required.
For
That's
buyers?
what required. That is what makes it a kitchen. Am I wrong on that, Denise?
But who am I removing the stove for? Like, am I removing it for the new buyer that's coming in? For, like, who am I removing a stove for? Because obviously what you're asking me to do is what they did to me. I got duped and I want to try and fix it.
So all right. So here, quite frankly, you have an illegal apartment. If we look at it right now, right on paper, was it your intent to have an illegal apartment? Of course not. Now you're stuck with this, and if you heard all of this debate, none of us really know what the hell to do. I don't mean to say hell. None of us know what to do. We really don't know what the hell to do. And Denise, the difference, something that makes a room a kitchen is a stove. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
So that is really where we're at. If you remove a kitchen, then it's not really, I'm sorry, if you remove the stove, it's not a kitchen. You don't have a second kitchen. It's just an upstairs sink with a refrigerator in another room. And it's not a second apartment. It's now a single family house. You don't need a variance. You won't have to revert anything back when you try to sell it. And apparently,
I guess the point is,
there's also very few 2-family homes in Pearl River. I think the only other one that we had was recently down near Linda Lane or Linda, the one where the man bought, but there were no tenants in it, and it reverted back to it was going to revert back to single family.
I mean,
Jersey border.
That's what you see, Denise. It's not really what happens. That's my point.
I know. I'm just saying that was a legal 2-family. There's very few legal 2 families.
It would have, yeah.
That's all.
Which would be, and it would need a use variance, not a local law 7.
Yes.
So can I ask a question, Denise? So legal 2-family is taxed as a 2-family. Are all local law 7s taxed as 2 families?
I don't know what the assessor does with them. I usually pull the property card. In this case, I did, and I looked at the C of Os, and I looked at her deed, and the deed said single family with the assessment code of 220. So at some point, somebody found out that there was a second kitchen in this place, and that's why they started assessing it. I don't know when that happened. The prior owners went to the zoning board about 5 years before she bought and said it was a single family. So I don't know, they must have done it, or if someone else did it, or they just said it was a single family. So once they see that assessment, once the assessor's office finds out about that, then they change the code, the classification, and they get it taxed on that. They weren't very clear.
I understand. I think Mrs. Ruddy's issue is that she doesn't want to do the same thing she can easily take the stove out, the gas line stays, you put a rolling cabinet in front of it, and all for the better. She could sell it, but I don't think she wants to do that to the next person as it was to her.
Well, I also don't think she's going to get a use variance for a 2-family house in the town of Orangetown, since they're.
No, I agree. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's where she feels, I think it seems as if is the issue, but I don't think we're going to have any option.
No, I think that's why we're all kind of butting heads here, because we know that it exists and it occurs, and what can we do about it? We have no teeth on it.
Right. And I think part of the issue is that we could approve a local law 7, but the reality is that you can't sell it to the next person. Is that because
Reverts back.
they will not have lived in the house for 15 years. Right? Am I correct?
That's right. Well, yeah, because Denise saying she has to convert it back to single family before
which-
she sells it anyway. So yeah.
I don't know how, but how does the building department not know that? I mean, that's another whole debate. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's for another place and time.
I don't know if they pull the property card when they get these applications or when they do a search. I think the way they've been finding out is looking at the MLS listings.
They should be looking at the property file and see if there's a local law 7. If there's not,
As
I
well.
don't care. I really don't care what the property card says. Has there been a local law 7 that's allowed
Yes.
by that family? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They should be looking at the property file.
Yes.
And if they're getting taxed on 2-family homes and it's a local law 7, I don't know. I don't think that's right. I mean, it's a same number of people. You just have a second kitchen, and it's going to revert back to a single family anyway. So it should be a single family home that they're getting taxed on. So I don't pay much mind to the tax bills either, because that has nothing to do with, as Mike said, it's not legal. We don't continue to do things, or we don't do things because it's going to happen.
So how did Mrs. Reddy solve her problem here?
Take out the stove.
And ask for a refund?
I think so.
Yes.
And a tax refund.
Tax refund for the last 13 years.
Yeah, file for a tax surcharge, sure.
It could, but was it rented out? Then she's properly assessed.
No, because it's a mother-daughter, remember?
No, it's a single family.
It's a single family. That apartment doesn't exist. I don't know what they're talking about.
So is there no access from one apartment to the other, Mrs. Reddy?
There is.
There is, within the house.
Yeah, there's a door. There's 2 doors on the first level.
That are probably painted
They're
shut
right.
and never been used, right?
Yeah, I mean, it stays closed.
Yeah.
So this is the problem, is that the way the house is laid out is like a person really wants to utilize it as a mother-daughter. That's the way this house has been structured when they did the renovations, when the person, who owned it prior to me, whoever did the build out, it's structured in a way that it's not easily convertible to a single family. Like, you couldn't take the whole house and just make it one. It's very separated. The apartment upstairs is very distinct to the downstairs level. You don't really even hear the people upstairs. So, to just say to take out the stove, it just doesn't seem like an option, because this apartment is going to be utilized for a mother-daughter.
Okay,
Right.
so here's your other option that you can take, and I'll explain why why it's going to be difficult. You can go for a use variance. You can try to get a 2-family house, get this tagged as a 2-family house, not a local law 7. And during that use variance, and Denise will fill in my gaps and voids or things that I misstate, you have to identify that you cannot make a reasonable return on this property or this investment. You have to come in with tax documents showing that you've been running at a loss with this property for, a certain period of time. I guess, what are the other things in that, Denise?
But this is crazy. I've already spent on this application already. I spent, a couple of $100 on the application, $1,000 for the architect, $500 for the underwriter certificate. Then I spent another $400 or $500 on the second application. Like, this is just thousands of dollars that if I wasn't like, after the first application, I should have been told no. You don't make me go to the second application and then tell me no, and then say, well, you should do a use for a 2-family, and then make me jump through more hula hoops for something that's been existing for almost 20 years. Like, this apartment is upstairs. It's always existed. It needs to be legal in some sort of way.
Did you understand? Did you understand Denise's comment that how it reverts back to a single family before you sell it? Even with a local law 7, you'll have to remove that stove before you sell it. I mean, that's really where we're at. That's how local law 7 is written.
So technically, it can't be sold as a 2-family.
There's no legal, technically, there's really no legal 2 families in the town of Orangetown aside from, I guess, a handful that Denise has brought up.
That makes no sense, because all the houses right around the block, there's multiple apartments in them. Up and down my block.
That's something for the code enforcer. If they are, they're illegal. And when they go to try to sell the house, if the buyer has a good attorney, it's going to show up during their research. In my opinion, I don't know. And then, if there are some that were pre-existing to the code, that's another issue as well.
Well, there could be some covenant local law 7s on that block. We don't know, right? And they could be owned by mother, daughter, or whatever, but we don't know that yet. We don't know all those properties.
So let's say I don't sell the house, I just stay there and I want my sister to live upstairs, or my niece to live upstairs, or my mother-in-law. Let's say, like, I just take it off the market, and I want to go for the local law 7.
It's fine. It's just when you sell the house, you have to it reverts back to a single family.
And does the new person come in, are they able to file a restrictive covenant?
No, what Denise is saying on the sale of the house, you have to remove that stove.
Don't forget, they also need a single entrance.
No, you can have a front door and a back door.
A back door, yeah. Single in the
Yeah,
front.
You can't have 2 front doors.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the McIntyre, yeah.
What do you mean it needs 2 front doors? I don't
You
understand.
can't have 2 front doors.
I don't have 2 front doors. I
Right,
have
what
1
you
front
have
door.
is fine. What you have is fine.
So that's not the information that I'm getting from the real estate then. The real estate is telling me that if I sold the house as a restricted 2-family, and it's a mother's daughter, the new person coming in that bought the house would go and file covenant like you guys described earlier, and then they would be able to have it as a mother-daughter.
That's as I understood it, and Denise is telling us that no, that doesn't occur, and it's not the case.
So the realtors who are the ones that are selling the property to me, that sold this property to me, and now I'm trying to sell it again, won't sell it because it doesn't have a C of O.
Yeah. I have you on speaker now, Denise. Denise lost power up at Town Hall.
I'm trying to get back.
Okay.
I didn't just hang up.
All right.
Get back in.
Okay, I'll let them know.
Okay.
All right. I'm taking you off speaker.
Okay, goodbye.
Denise lost power up there. Trish, we can't hear you.
Because my mic was off.
Yeah.
I do want to tell you that unfortunately, the information that you get from a real estate agent is not necessarily always correct. All right. I can tell you I'm on a board in my condominium, and we've had real estate agents who have tried to sell 1-bedroom apartments as 2 bedrooms because somebody put a wall in. But when they go to when they sell, when they actually get to the point, if the lawyer's a good lawyer on the other side, the C of O is for a 1-bedroom and not a 2-bedroom. And we've caught a couple in between.
We've actually had discussions with realtors inside the zoning meeting about trying to clarify what they're actually doing. And so, yeah, you're right. I echo what Trish is saying, that, the realtors think they know what they're talking about, and sometimes they don't.
Just as the second time I've seen this where it got serious. The last time was probably last year, maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
With a real estate agent from Joyce Renee.
I remember that, yes.
And that was after the sale. It's something that's gotta be straightened out for real estate people. It's really, really nasty.
Excuse me, I'm just gonna shut my window.
So Mrs. Roddy, so where we're at is we can make a decision on this, and it doesn't sound favorable just by hearing the comments. You can try to remove the application for a refund if you decide that you want to remove that stove, because eventually you have to remove that stove anyway before you sell it.
Well,
So I think that's where we're.
but why? Why would I have to remove the stove? Nobody's checking.
I think we've been through we've been through it. We've been through this like 10 times tonight. I mean, I think I've explained why it has to come out.
Well, what I'm saying is when I bought the house,
You bought an
The stove
illegal
was there.
apartment in the house. You bought an illegal apartment in the house.
right?
Your
So how
attorney,
do I
your
make-
attorney, and your attorney, title search, and real estate agent didn't do their job by identifying to see if that was legal.
The certificate of occupancy for your home is for a single family home.
Right. I want to make it a mother-daughter. So how do I do that?
You can get a local. I mean, we've approved variances like this. I've knowing you're going to sell the house. You have to remove that stove anyway in a year and a half. So I'm just curious why it would matter.
But let's say I don't move. I stay in this house. I'm able to make the upstairs, legal. Person can live up there. It's not a problem. How do I make this apartment legal with a stove in it?
Okay, as long as you're under the understanding that you're eventually going to sell the house or it's going to transfer ownership, it reverts back to a single family. That stove has to come out. So if you do all that just to keep the stove in, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's you want to hang on to the house for.
Right. At this point, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you take if I just stay in the house and keep it as is, I want to make the I've been in there almost 13 and a half years, and I want to make it a mother-daughter so that it's legal. So the stove is not a problem. Is that part of this application that I'm processing?
Yes.
I mean, even as a mother-daughter, it's for that reason, right?
Right.
It's for a family member. It's not for you to rent.
The local law simply doesn't say you can't rent it.
Or owner occupied two family, right?
Right. That's a local law 7. It doesn't, the board has put restrictions at time that it has to be a family member, but that's in each different covenant. The local law 7 does not say that it has to be rented to a family member or which portion of the place has to be an apartment. Denise can't get back on, I don't think.
Denise, you're muted.
She was knocked off before.
All right, Tricia, do you have
Oh,
any
here's
more
Denise.
questions?
You have a question? What's the matter?
So Mrs. Ruddy would like to be able to.
No, she's saying she's gonna stay there, yeah.
She's saying she's not gonna sell anymore. She's gonna unlist it from the MLS. She's gonna go for a local law 7, right?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
She's changing her application completely. Right?
That's
I'm
what
not
she's saying.
changing the application.
Her application was always for a local law 7.
All right. So what's the issue?
Can the board grant the local law 7?
She hasn't, well, that's up to the board. She hasn't lived there for the 15 years, right? Everything else seems to comply. I don't know who's gonna live there. Generally, you know.
But if you're selling the apartment, you have to take the stove
It
out.
reverts back, correct, right.
All right, so I mean, you know,
So
Patricia,
who's
if you're,
living there? Who's gonna live in this apartment? Isn't that usually what you ask?
No.
Usually someone comes in and says, my great grandmother's moving in with me.
no,
I
it
need to
doesn't,
take care
it
of her.
doesn't, Denise, it doesn't have to be a family member.
I know, but I'm saying that's usually what happens, right?
Okay.
You find out
No.
who's gonna live there. Is there someone living there?
I don't know about that.
No
Maybe you
one's
always
living there now.
ask.
I'm sorry?
No one is living there now because I had
Alright.
to get rid of them because it's an illegal apartment.
All right.
Okay, so how do you want to proceed? Patricia, do you have any questions? Do you want to make a motion on this, or can you?
Don't you have to ask the public?
I will, I'm just seeing if our discussion is finished.
No. I'm having a real issue with this right now.
Me too. All right, does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? I see Pat Tobin. I don't know if you're just listening in or you can't talk.
Just listening in.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, are there any further questions from the board? Tricia, are you good? Do you want to move forward?
I have a real issue with this at this point. I really do.
I mean, so do I. I agree with you. It's I mean, unless if there is a motion made, it just has to be conditioned with all of the things that we talked about tonight. That
Condition, I mean, I don't,
The issue that I'm not there for 15 years, I don't know what the issue is.
That you're not there for 15 years is part of it. That you told us you were selling it is another part of it.
we know too much.
But and again, it's not. It doesn't change how local law 7 works. So I mean, I as one member of the board, I don't have a problem with this because have we granted a variance of 2 years of ownership for a local law 7 so somebody can have somebody there? Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't really remember that, Dan, but honestly, you've been in a lot longer, but if we have, it was more than likely that it had to do with family members, no?
It had to do with what, Mike? Sorry.
Because they needed it for a family member's use, and they presented that.
Yeah. That's
If it was less than 15 years. I do remember one case, it wasn't just because they were selling it or whatever be the case. It was because they really had a genuine need for a family member.
That's true. That's a good point. You're right. And then, you know what, and hearing that, Mike, you're right. Then that is the spirit. We talked about that quite a bit. The spirit of local law 7 is that it is for people who've been in the town for 15 years. They're unable to say meet their tax or utility bills. They portion out a piece of their house to collect some rent to assist with that. And that was really the, you know, as we've deemed in the past, the spirit of local law 7. All right, so should we move to decision?
So I have a question. I actually have a question for Denise. So if we were to move forward and approve this, how do we ensure that that kitchen comes out before it's sold? And that it reverts back? We can't hear you.
I know recently we just had someone that also had to file the restrictive covenant that was prepared. Debbie, I don't remember if you remember who it was, McIntyre or someone who did it, and then they had to come back in and redo the restrictive covenant because it was done incorrectly. It was only done by the husband and not the husband and the wife. And then any other any of the purchaser would be put on notice because this restrictive covenant is filed with the Rockland County Clerk. Same place their deed will be filed. And it'll be put in their property file down at the building department as well with the C of O that says it's subject to that ZBA decision. So that's how everybody gets put on notice. So in the event she would sell, it would get reverted back to the single family dwelling.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Debbie.
I can't remember the name of the person. I can see their faces that we were talking about.
Yeah, it was a nice elderly gentleman, I believe. I can't remember his name either, and so I was just looking for it on my emails and computer, but I can't find it.
But that restrictive covenant always talks about a family member, does it not?
No,
I don't know. That's why I'm trying to find the form I had sent. Is it online?
no, there's two different forms they have in the building department. One is for somebody that is taking over a local law 7 without a ZBA decision. And another one is for somebody that's taking over a local law 7 that had a ZBA decision. And they file new covenants. If that's not supposed to be going on, someone needs to send a message to the building department about that.
Thank you. I was just going to suggest that.
I mean, but we've had restricted covenants that were for a specific person, and we've had them that it was just, they could rent it out to whoever they wanted as long as the person that owned the house still lived there. It wasn't always for family members.
Yes. But the restrictive covenant that is filed usually says that in the event the occupation of the premises by the owner, his or her spouse, or the survivor of them ceases, the dwelling automatically reverts to a one dwelling unit without further action by the town.
Yes.
But it doesn't say anything about family members living.
No, but that was, I remember even as a child, there was somebody did it without permission and everybody was up in arms, and it was supposed to be from parents or children. It was supposed to be family members initially. If they've expanded that.
But they never put that in the law initially.
There used to be also some requirement for 600 square feet or less, right?
Yeah.
There is.
There is, there is.
That's still there.
Smaller, and this is smaller. It's 481 square feet, I believe, right? Something like that.
She meets all the other requirements other than the 15 years.
And the fact that it's for sale.
She was not told by the building department that she couldn't have it for sale.
Yeah,
This is where there's I feel bad for her.
And that's the part I feel bad too, because she's been given the wrong directions all along here.
But somebody needs to tell the building department that these local law 7s cannot be continued for any, because they have been. I mean, I've been here for a long time and it's been going on for a long, long time.
Well, the building department actually has a local law 7 applicant packet that tells you everything that should be complied with.
And they have covenants that they hand out that somebody can continue the use from a local law 7 that was granted to a previous owner.
No, because the covenant.
One with the ZBA decision that was attached from.
It also says it automatically reverts to a single family dwelling unit. I don't know what they're handing out, but this one's attached to the application.
But they're not reverting is what I'm saying. They're letting people continue them. That's what I think.
That's
This is
something completely.
But what document, Debbie, you're pointing to a document they're handing out. Where is that? With
It's
document.
been handed out in the building department.
It's on the website. It's on the town website.
So I think Mrs. Ruddy got this.
Based on that, where's Dan?
I don't know.
Sorry, I was on mute.
No
Hello?
significant exterior change.
Right.
in the
Sorry,
last
Patricia, can you hear me?
years.
Yes, now I can.
Okay.
All right. So based on all of that information, I will make a motion.
Okay. All right, so let me, so then let's close the.
Go through what you have to do. Go ahead.
Exactly.
No public comment, right?
No,
No
we already asked.
It
Closed.
wasn't.
All right, so no further questions from the board.
Secra?
I'll make a motion to close. Can I get a second?
Second.
Who seconded?
All in favor, Dan, that's Tricia. All in favor, Dan, aye. Tricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Tommy,
Aye.
thank you. All right, secret.
Okay, based upon the testimony heard by this board and the facts as presented in the aforementioned application submission and in the record, the application is exempt from environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to Regulations 617.5C, 11, 12, 16, and or 17. If you have no questions or comments, a board member can adopt my legal opinion as a motion.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor, Dan, aye. Patricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and Tommy.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Patricia.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the application of Catherine Ruddy for a local law 7, which she has only been in the property 13 years, but the apartment was there when she bought it, and she has testified for at least a total of 20 years. The understanding that she will file a restrictive covenant and that that restrictive covenant will cease if and when she sells the property, and that it will revert back to a single family unit as the law states, and that I'm assuming the apartment cannot be sold as a 2-family.
Okay, can I get a second on that?
I would second that if you would add to it, or if she moves out of the property, it has to be owner occupied.
Okay.
If that's the case, I'll second.
I'll amend it whether she sells or moves out of the apartment.
And you second that, Tommy?
Yeah, I say.
Okay. So pull the board. Tricia, in favor?
Aye.
Tommy,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Dan, aye. Okay, great. Have a good night, Mrs. Ruddy, and thanks for hearing us try to figure this out.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. All right, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, Dan, aye. Tricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Rob? Rob?
You're muted,
Aye.
Rob.
Aye. Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording so I can figure out.
This conference is no longer being recorded.